Hi, welcome back to English 111 Online. This week we're going to continue working on Project 4, our persuasive problem solution essay. And what you're going to do basically is take your outline that you created this past week and continue researching, finding evidence, and you're going to flush out that outline to make your rough draft of your essay. So this week, view the video lecture, which is what you're doing right now. View the website page on refutation. If we scroll down and just look at some of the things that are included this week, another reminder of the due dates. Rough draft being due the 13th, which is this coming Tuesday, and then the final draft the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, which will be November the 27th. So we have like a two weeks in here to get from the rough draft to the final. If you want to pull up the Project 4 map again and look at that to see how we're almost at the end of the project now. The Essay 4 outline, you want to pull that up again and look at it so that and review it so that you can see that your essay has everything that's asked for in this outline. So when you start with your introduction, you want to get an attention grabber. Make sure it's something that strengthens the argument that you're getting ready to make. Put some background information in there. How does this relate to the claim that you're going to be making, the should statement that you'll have for your thesis? And if it doesn't relate, then leave it out. So you want to start with a very general statement to get my attention and then narrow it down till you get to your thesis statement, your claim, and use the word should or ought to or must in there somewhere. So that's the thing that will state the solutions that must be adapted or they should be completed in order to meet the UN global goal from whichever global goal you're working on. Okay, and it goes on from there. The next paragraph, your background paragraph, explain why the problem that the goal is based on is significant, and end with your solutions restated, the three things that you're proposing. And you'll need evidence for this part. So tell me where you got the information about the significance of the problem and the stated solutions. Your body paragraphs, each one will have a topic sentence which will reflect whichever solution you're going to be covering there. You want to have three solutions that support your claim that the goal should be met. You're going to keep bringing in this evidence from various sources that you've found, and you're going to try to incorporate as much logic into your persuasion as possible, ethos or ethical arguments, and pathos or emotional arguments. Then once you get through with those three paragraphs for your three solutions, you'll have a paragraph that addresses the opposite side. And so the next thing, let's take a look back at the Moodle page. I have put some information on here about writing a refutation, and which is simply talking back to the other side. So you're going to investigate and find what the other side is saying. The other side would be somebody who's saying that your goal is not important or your solutions won't work. And then I have some things that you can look at here. One being this link right here to a, lost my cursor, there we go, this how to write a refutation paragraph. Will open this website that has some really good pages here concerning writing persuasive essays. So the refutation paragraph, it actually tells you how to go about writing that, what you want to be sure that you put into that, and then and suggestions to how to word it. So Here's what they suggest. You want to introduce the opposing argument, acknowledge parts of the argument that are valid. That's called concession, and concession is a really good point of when you're trying to convince somebody of something or persuade someone to say you're right about this, however, this is where you're wrong. And so you want to acknowledge parts of the opposition that are valid. Anything that is true, acknowledge it. Yes, you make a good point here when you say this. But then you're going to say why they're wrong. And then you will introduce the conclusion with this why you're wrong paragraph. Here's what you say, here's where you're right, here's where you're wrong. It even goes into some ways that you can do this, like if you summarize the opposition's viewpoint openly and honestly, and then you can begin to say, but blank is not completely accurate. It might be argued that so-and-so, however, that is not completely true. So you're going to acknowledge the parts of the opposition that are valid, ways that you can do that, some words you can use. One cannot deny that, admittedly, certainly, of course, for the things that you agree with. And then counter the argument. This is the rebuttal, the refutation. It's really talking back to the other side. And so you could say, nevertheless, however, on the other hand, but, and then you're going to say how they are wrong. The conclusion of that paragraph should summarize why the counter argument is not a sufficient solution. So therefore, or as a result, and then you might just want to restate your own position that you have. So anyway, there's more information here. There's a link you can click, how to write a concession paragraph. There is a sample refutation paragraph below here where you can read through those and see how they're done. And so anyway, these are very this is a very helpful, very elegant and simple way of addressing a refutation paragraph, especially if you've never written one before. This same web page connects you to a different page. Back on the Moodle page, I have a different link, but you could also just go from the refutation page there to how to write a conclusion paragraph. So if I go back to my website that I have open with the refutation, if it'll open up for me, thank you. Then you can just click right there and go to the conclusion paragraph. And you already know how to write a conclusion, but this takes you through some of the specifics of concluding a persuasive paper. So I stress and highly suggest that you read this, and it tells you step by step, revisit the magnitude and timeliness of this issue, why it's important again. Review the main points, the solutions that you propose to meet the goal. So you may want to have something here in the end too that leaves your reader thinking about it. You know, you might predict what would happen if we don't meet this goal, if we don't follow these solutions. There's some tips here too for in the conclusion paragraph. Never, ever, ever oversimplify it. Apologize for it. Never say things like "in my opinion" or "it seems to me" or anything like that, which will weaken your argument. So you want your conclusion paragraph to be strong and to be helpful to your reader. And I would like for you to end, as I showed you in the outline. If you go back to your outline and look at this document, I suggest that you end by suggesting some things that the reader can do. a call to take some action, a career that someone could pursue if they're interested in solving this global problem, or a personal investment of time or money, or whatever it is that individuals that might be reading your essay can do. There are lots of things that we can do every day to help global warming. So there's a lot of things that can be done in a concluding paragraph, but be sure that your concluding paragraph is good and strong, because it's one of the most important parts of your persuasive essay. So after you have your rough draft together and you've made sure that you have all the parts there, then go back and make sure that you've got your citations properly done. Everything that you need for this essay, I have put in here under this document that says basic MLA format, and I have given you examples. You've done this before, but you might need a refresher on this, and you're going to have more than one source to use this time. And I'm not giving you the source because I don't know what your sources are. So you need to do this. It's not hard. All you have to do is, here's the basic format for it. I'm going to scroll down and look at this. You start, it's always the author's last name, comma, author's first name, period. If you do not have an author, if it does not give you who wrote this information, then you skip that and you just go to the next thing, which is the title of the article in quotation marks with a period inside the quotation mark. And then you have the title of the website, and notice that would be in italics, a comma after that, the date of publication, another comma, and then the URL, which you can get from your web browser for the page that you got that information from. A period comes after that, and then accessed, the day, the month, the year. Like this, I've even shown you how to do it. 8 February, we always abbreviate the months, FEB period. If you did something in October or November, it would be OCT period or NOV period, and then the date after that, and then a period. So this is the same for everything that you do. If you have an author's name, that's what goes first. If you don't have it, you skip it. You go to the title. If you you will not have a title for your article. You will have a title of a website. You might not find the date of publication. If you don't have it, skip it and just go to the URL. So whatever you do, just follow that same format. Don't vary from it. Don't try to use somebody's little machine to fix it. Put it in that way, and if you put it in that way, then you'll be correct. Also, remember that your citations, your entries on your works cited page, those citations are in hanging indent, and I have even given you instructions up here how to do a hanging indent in a Google Doc. You highlight the information, you drag the little triangle that's up at the top here, there's the little triangle, over to the ½ inch mark, and then you push it back with the little bar. The triangle pulls the bar and the triangle over, and then you push it back with the bar. And if you do that, you'll have a perfect hanging indent, and you won't have to worry about anything. So review this document, all the basic MLA format. Most of you are perfect with this. You've been doing a great job with this, but some of you have not. And you know, this is our third essay that we've written, and it's time for you to learn it now. Wherever you use your source in your essay, you must do an in-text citation that matches whatever you have on your works cited page. So I suggest that you do your works cited page first, and then wherever you use that source in your paper, what goes in the parentheses or what must be stated in your sentence where you mention the citation from the works cited page, what you have there needs to be what matches the works cited page. So I gave an example here. According to an article by Wes Craven, making horror movies is not as easy as it looks. Then I mentioned Wes Craven. There's got to be a works cited entry that starts with Craven Wes. That's what I'm looking for to match. If I put it in parentheses at the end, like the second example I give you here, some might say that making a horror movie is not as easy as it looks. And see, I've put Craven in parentheses. There's got to be a works cited entry that matches that. So don't put the name of the web page. Don't make me read into the citation to find it. It's whatever is hanging out in your hanging indent is what you reference in your in-text citation. If you're using the exact words from something that you found, put it in quotation marks. If you're summarizing or paraphrasing, you still must cite it. So I might say, like this one here, making a horror movie is not as easy as what one thinks it may be. And then I've put Craven in parentheses there. Or Wes Craven says that making a horror movie may not be as easy as one thinks it may be. And then I've referenced it there. When you reference it in the sentence with his name, you don't have to have the parentheses. Later on, if you mention Craven again, and it's the same source, as long as you keep mentioning Craven, then and it matches what you have on your works cited page, then you're in good shape. And also remember always to ICE. You introduce, it has to have some kind of attributive tag or signal phrase. Then you cite it with the hanging out part from your works cited page. That's why it has a hanging indent. What's hanging out, whether it's the title, whether it's the last name, that's what you put in the sentence or in the parenthetical citation. And then you never, never, ever end with a quotation or a reference to a source. You always end with commentary. So always explain. ICE it, introduce it, cite it, and explain it. On the past essays, you might have seen that I had said you need to go back and look at some of those comments that I made, and I might have said this needs commentary. That's what I meant. You ended with a quotation and then you just went on to a new paragraph. You have to comment on it. You have to show us the significance of it, the importance of it, how it relates to the point that you're trying to make. Don't assume that your reader is going to just get it. You have to tell your reader the significance of that. Okay, so once you have your rough draft completed, then you will post it here on the Turnitin link for the rough draft. You need to have that done before midnight on November the 13th. What will happen then is I will go in and look at the rough drafts, make comments, and you have all the way until the 27th to complete your rough draft and turn it in. Next week is the week after this is our November the 13th is when you have to have that in by. So this goes the 6th through the 13th. Look at that's right, 7th through the 13th. Okay, so the following week is Thanksgiving week, and so there won't be an additional project for you to do or assignment for you to do. Continue to work on the works cited information. Continue to brush it up. Remember to check it for these things here. I listed this on the middle page again too. Never have anything in there that refers to first person or second person. I, me, mine, myself, we, ourselves, none of that stuff. Second person, you, yourself, all of those things should not be in this essay. This is third person academic tone. Also, anytime you see a reference to the assignment in this paper I will, or this essay will show, get that out of it, because that is not supposed to be in the essay either. And please don't weaken your argument, your persuasion, by saying I feel, I believe, I think, in my opinion. If you put those things in there and you see them, get them out before I even look at your rough draft. Of course, I'll mention it on your rough draft if I see it, but it's better for you to recognize those things and leave them out to begin with. So all the information you have to finish up your, to take it from the outline form that you did this past week to this rough draft is here for you to do. Make sure everything is as good as you complete. Go back and look at the assignment again. See what it was asking you to do. Make sure you did everything that it was asking you to do. If you follow that outline, you shouldn't have any problem with having the assignment be exactly what it was supposed to be. Okay, so if you have any questions, contact me as always, and I'll see you next time.